Viewers have branded Netflix's new Jeffrey Dahmer doc horrifying, gruesome and shocking as they react to how the killer's victims met their fates. Dahmer, otherwise known as the Milwaukee Monster, butchered at least 17 young men and boys during one of America's most bloody killing sprees. During Netflix's new series, Conversations with the Killer, The Jeffrey Dahmer Tapes, viewers learned of the vile ways the murderous Dahmer killed his victims. One viewer said, "Conversations with the Killer, The Jeffrey Dahmer Tapes gives me the shivers." A second added, "Horrifying, gruesome, shocking." Read our Jeffrey Dahmer live blog below for the latest updates. 10th OCT 2022, 5 o'clock. No place in a civilized society for Dahmer. At Jeffrey Dahmer's trial, one of the uncles of a victim, Stanley Miller, spoke about how there is no space for a person like Jeffrey in this world. He said, "There is no place in a civilized society for anyone who shows no regard for life. I'm not for the death penalty, but you are the perfect candidate." 10th OCT 2022, 4 o'clock. Jeffrey Dahmer shows success is down to its violent nature, claims columnist. Netflix's insightful drama Monster, which explores the murders of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, has made the platform's history by beating Squid Game and Bridgerton as its most watched show. But Richard Rushfield, a columnist for The Anchor, told Good Morning America that the program's violent nature is responsible for its success. "True crime has become a huge phenomenon across the medium," he said. "I think that, in tumultuous times where people feel uneasy and a lot of anxiety about their world, watching true crime helps them sort of acclimate themselves to the worst things on earth and they become accustomed to it. It makes the world a little less scary." 10th OCT 2022, 3 o'clock. Dahmer was considerate, church leader claims. Church leader Roy Ratcliffe, who baptized Jeffrey Dahmer, revealed the killer left him surprised during his first visit. In an exclusive interview, Roy told The Sun Online, "I was impressed about how courteous he was and how willing he was to be cooperative. He was considerate, which I found surprising. Given that he had killed people, I thought he would be a rougher person, but he was gentle as far as I could see. For a moment there I'm thinking I'm in a room all by myself with a man who's murdered so many people. And I was a little apprehensive. I was thinking, what's going on here?" Then we started talking about how he wanted to be baptized, and after that I forgot about being apprehensive. 10th OCT 2022, 2 o'clock. Dahmer's lawyer was incredibly nervous during first meeting with him. When Wendy Patricus first went in to see Dahmer, he was sat at the corner of the table. And she was incredibly nervous because she felt the investigation was well over her head. She felt like Clarice in The Silence of the Lambs, as Dahmer was very polite, which took her by surprise. Dahmer said that it was something he had buried in himself for years during his first conversation with Wendy. 10th OCT 2022, 1 o'clock. Collector reveals one of Dahmer's disturbing items. Taylor James, from Vancouver, Canada, set up Cult Collectibles, an online collection of cult and true crime memorabilia, has revealed one of Dahmer's most disturbing items. In one of the largest collections of Dahmer's items there are letters, documents, cutlery, books, his prison Bible and even his glasses. And he said the most disturbing item in his collection is a dossier of letters the killer got from an obsessed fan. The fan, a woman, would write him multiple letters every day, convinced she had a personal connection to the cannibal killer. 10th OCT 2022, 0 o'clock. Dahmer was scared to death of girls. While Dahmer might have been somewhat of a class clown, he was not smooth with the ladies. However, he did manage to get a date to the prom in 1978. At the time, he went to the school dance with 16-year-old Bridget Geiger. Shortly after his arrest in 1991, a local newspaper sat down with Geiger, who recalled what it was like to go to prom with Dahmer and why she fled from his house. He was scared to death of girls, she said at the time, via the Associated Press. He was scared to death I was going to kiss him. Geiger then explained that she had gone back to his house afterward for a party, but things did not go as planned. She recalled there being no music, no food or drinks, adding that it was a nerd party. 9th OCT 2022, 2300 hours. Dahmer victim's sister slams Netflix drama for depiction of Chico's crimes. The sister of Jeffrey Dahmer victim has slammed Netflix for their harsh and careless treatment of her over a sensitive issue. "I feel like Netflix should have asked if we mind or how we felt about making it," said Rita Is Bull, the sister of Errol Lindsay who was slaughtered by Dahmer, about the drama series Monster. "They didn't ask me anything. They just did it. But I'm not money hungry. And that's what this show is about, Netflix trying to get paid." Meanwhile, Alyssa Mayrands, a psychologist with Empower Your Mind Therapy, said of Netflix dramatization, "For people who are traumatized, what happens is you're hearing everyone talk about it. It's being advertised all over social media and TV, and so its interface can bring back a lot of dark emotions." 9th OCT 2022, 2200 hours. What happened to Ernest Miller? Ernest Miller and Jeffrey Dahmer met in front of a bookshop on North 27th Street. Miller was visiting his aunt in Milwaukee over Labor Day weekend. Dahmer invited Miller back to his apartment, offering him money for sex. Miller followed him, and after the act, Dahmer drugged the 22-year-old and slit his throat. Dahmer disturbingly kept his biceps in the freezer, painted his skull and also bleached his skeleton. 9th OCT 2022, 2100 hours. No place in a civilized society for Dahmer. At Jeffrey Dahmer's trial, one of the uncles of the victim, Stanley Miller, spoke about how there is no space for a person like Jeffrey in this world. He said, "There is no place in a civilized society for anyone who shows no regard for life. I'm not for the death penalty, but you are the perfect candidate." 9th OCT 2022, 2000 hours. Who was Ernest Miller? Ernest Miller, also known as Ronald Marquez Miller, was hoping to become a professional dancer when he was murdered at 22 years old. He spent some time working after he graduated from Milwaukee High School of the Arts at West Division. Miller was about to start attending classes at an arts college in Chicago before his life came to an end. His aunt, Vivian Miller, spoke about his talents and his upbringing. She said, "He was a talented dancer. He was singing and performing when he was young and used to sing at church." 9th OCT 2022, 1900 hours. Jeffrey Dahmer shows success is down to its violent nature, claims columnist. Netflix's insightful drama Monster, which explores the murders of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, has made the platform's history by beating Squid Game and Bridgerton as its most watched show. But Richard Rushfield, a columnist for The Anchor, told Good Morning America that the program's violent nature is responsible for its success. "True crime has become a huge phenomenon across the medium," he said. "I think that, in tumultuous times where people feel uneasy and a lot of anxiety about their world, watching true crime helps them sort of acclimate themselves to the worst things on earth and they become accustomed to it. It makes the world a little less scary." 9th OCT 2022, 1800 hours. Sister of Dahmer victim attacks Monster show for causing victims to relive trauma. The sister of Dahmer victim Errol Lindsay, Rita Is Bull, told Insider Sunday that Netflix never reached out to her about the program, suggesting that it was harsh and careless. "I feel like Netflix should have asked if we mind or how we felt about making it," she said. "They didn't ask me anything. They just did it. But I'm not money hungry, and that's what this show is about, Netflix trying to get paid." 9th OCT 2022, 1700 hours. Jeffrey Dahmer show reigniting dark memories, claims psychologist. Netflix's record-breaking show about mass murderer Jeffrey Dahmer is bringing back a lot of dark emotions, claims a psychologist. Mail Online reports that Alyssa Mayrands, owner and psychologist with Empower Your Mind Therapy, said about the program Monster, "For people who are traumatized, what happens is you're hearing everyone talk about it. It's being advertised all over social media and TV, and so its interface can bring back a lot of dark emotions." 9th OCT 2022, 1630. Dahmer took to cult worship in his youth. A neighbor of Jeffrey Dahmer has revealed a chilling story from the killer's youth. When Dahmer was just 15, neighbor Jim Klippel discovered a horrifying sight just yards from his home. About 100 yards away, there had been a large fire and 13 little fires around it, he said. It looked so much like a cult worship that it scared us to death. Click here to read more. 9th OCT 2022, 1550. Full list of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. His victims included Curtis Straughter, Richard Guerrero, Jeremy Weinberger, Jamie Dockstater, Ricky Beeks, Oliver Lacey, Errol Lindsay, Conarak Synthesymphone, Ernest Miller, Tony Hughes, Joseph Bradhoft, Matt Turner, Anthony Sears, David C. Thomas, Edward W. Smith. 9th OCT 2022, 1520. Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix show watched by millions. The Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix show starring Evan Peters was watched for 196.2 million hours in its first full week on the streaming platform. Reviews have been mixed, with many slamming the existence of the program in its entirety, claiming it is explorative and could harm the families of Dahmer's victims. Netflix has gone on a major push in the last week, releasing both a fictional retelling and a documentary. 9th OCT 2022, 1440. Sister of Dahmer victim hits out at Netflix show. The sister of Dahmer victim Errol Lindsay, Rita Isbell, told Insider Sunday that Netflix never reached out to her about the program, suggesting that it was harsh and careless. "I feel like Netflix should have asked if we mind or how we felt about making it," she said. "They didn't ask me anything. They just did it. But I'm not money hungry, and that's what this show is about, Netflix trying to get paid." 9th OCT 2022, 1400 hours. How did Jeffrey Dahmer die? Jeffrey Dahmer was killed while serving in prison. Dahmer was killed by fellow Columbia Correctional Institution inmate and convicted murderer Christopher Scarver on November 28, 1994, in Portage, Wisconsin. On November 28, Scarver was set to work with 2 other inmates, one of which was the serial killer, while cleaning the prison gymnasium toilet. Scarver removed a 20-inch metal bar from the prison weight room and brutally hit Dahmer twice around the head. He was declared dead on the scene. 9th OCT 2022, 1330. Who is David Dahmer? David Dahmer was the second child of Lionel and Joyce Dahmer and the younger brother to Jeffrey. David's arrival reportedly had a negative effect on the future killer. David, having graduated from college, would change his name and assume a new identity as he entered adulthood. The brother of one of America's most deadly killers will not conduct interviews and is eager to leave his brother's crimes behind him. David reportedly has a successful business and a family. 9th OCT 2022, 1300 hours. The interview that inspired Evan Peters' performance as Jeffrey Dahmer. Evan Peters went to great lengths to accurately portray the bloodthirsty killer, and one interview played a central role in shaping his performance. The interview, conducted by Stone Phillips for Dateline NBC, was recorded in 1994. On the events of Dahmer's life, Peters said, "It was so jaw-dropping that it all really happened. It felt important to be respectful to the victims and to the victims' families to try to tell the story as authentically as we could. 9th OCT 2022, 12:30. What happened to Jeffrey Dahmer's belongings? At the time of his arrest, police made a macabre discovery. 7 skulls, 2 hearts, pairs of severed hands, skeletons, dismembered torsos, along with Polaroid photos of the victims, weapons, saws, knives and a drill, and acid. The apartment was left untouched as Dahmer's trial went on. To prevent Dahmer's belongings to become gruesome memorabilia, a local civic group decided to buy out the auctioned belongings, including the fridge, where police found severed heads, needles, and knives. Instead of keeping them, the head of the civic group, real estate magnate Joseph Zilber, destroyed the items, and the families of the victims compensated with the $407,225 raised during the auction. At the time, Zilber said his aim was that these tools of death be permanently destroyed. 9th OCT 2022, 12 o'clock. Who was Dahmer's first victim? Dahmer's first murder came in 1978. He bludgeoned hitchhiker Stephen Hicks, 18, whom he lured back to his house for drinks with a dumbbell before strangling him with the dumbbell handle. Dahmer went on to dissect Hicks' body in his basement before burying it in the garden. He would go on to dig the body up and dissolve it in acid and crush the bones with a sledgehammer. 9th OCT 2022, 11:20. Chilling FBI documents show Dahmer's gruesome crimes. Chilling FBI documents obtained by The Sun show just some of the crimes committed by the brutal serial killer. The remains of 11 decapitated, dismembered victims were discovered in the apartment of Jeffrey Dahmer, writes Chief Areola in the document dated August 12, 1991. The document chronicles the vile pictures Dahmer would take of his victims as well as other evidence discovered. As cops desperately tried to piece together the horror they uncovered in his stinking flat at the Oxford Apartments. 9th OCT 2022, 10:40. Where to watch the chilling new Jeffrey Dahmer doc. The new 3-part series, titled Conversations with the Killer, The Jeffrey Dahmer Tapes, is available to watch now. But where can you see this chilling telling of Dahmer's life? Simply head over to Netflix to catch the horrifying show. 9th OCT 2022, 10 o'clock. Where did Jeffrey Dahmer live? The serial killer lived in apartment 213 at 924 North 25th Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. While there, the serial killer committed the bulk of his crimes. When Dahmer moved into apartment 213 in May 1990, he brought with him the scalp and penis of his 5th victim, Anthony Sears, according to FBI documents. He would be arrested in apartment 213, where the police would fund his